Hey guys, Marcinkin here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so we didn't get any news this morning. I think we are going to be getting some kind of indication soon in the next couple of days as to who the first, if maybe only, EZAs for the Daima celebration, the New Year celebration, are going to be. Last year, we got the EZA for the TEQ Pon somewhere around the 3rd or the 4th of January. So potentially by the end of this week, we could see an EZA. However, the LR Dragon Fist Super Saiyan 3 Goku EZA wasn't until, it was either the 11th or the 13th. So I guess it depends how long they're going to wait and how many EZAs we're going to get. But we could see some news within the next couple of days if we are going to be receiving something by the end of the week. So I wanted to take this opportunity to speculate a little bit more about a couple of the units that could potentially be getting an EZA, right? We did a video talking about the Super Saiyan 2 to 3 Goku physical and STR Kid Buu, because those guys are featured on the banner. They are previous New Year characters and they fit on the leader skills for the Daima Goku and the Glorio. But there's also a couple of other units that are featured on the banner that people have been speculating about for an EZA, because they are some of the final units left in the list for units that released in 2020 and have not yet received an EZA. Obviously, I mean, you guys know, if you clicked on the video, right, it's in the title and the thumbnail, that we are talking about AGL PAIKUHAN and TEQ Janemba. So these guys originally released as the New Year Dual Dokkan Fest for JP in 2020, and then obviously came out later on April 2021 for Global. And these guys were certainly interesting. Like, it's a couple of years ago now, so it's funny to think back, but like, I absolutely hated Janemba on release because of the way their mechanic works with the orbs and how it works with the game. I've been on like big rants before on streams and stuff, especially when we were trying for so long to do the Extreme TEQ, Extreme Super Battle Road No Items run. Obviously nowadays with some of the units we have and 200% leads and all that stuff, it's very, very easy. But back in the day, it became the final stage that I needed to do in order to have all the stages done. And it was an absolute nightmare. And the big thing, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but I guess it ties into what we'd like to see from their EZA. But the big thing with this guy, especially because his condition is worse than PAIKUHAN's until he transforms, but we'll get into that, needing to get 4 type key spheres to give the extreme class allies support, which is 2 key and 30% attack and defense, and then 2 rainbow orbs in order for him to get 30% damage reduction. The game is just not designed in a way that makes that easy to do, right? Because of the way the game will prioritize the most amount of key that you can pick up, rather than being like smart enough. I don't know how you would program it, don't get me wrong, I'm not good with programming back-end kind of stuff, but like, if there's a couple of tech orbs right next to a cluster of, let's say, physical orbs, where you could get 4 physical orbs and 2 rainbows, but there's like 2 tech orbs right next to the rainbow orb or something, it will pick those up because that will give you more key, rather than focusing on the orbs that would actually give you the character's passive. And the number of runs that I lost because we didn't get the rainbow orbs, for example, to get the damage reduction for this guy, and even the support could make a difference, because he's a big bad boss's character as well, which obviously is very helpful. But yeah, these guys EZAing, and like I say, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent. These guys getting EZAs would be really, really good. And they tie into this celebration in a couple of ways, right? We already talked about the fact that they are previous New Year Dual Dokkan Fests, but they are both on, funnily enough, they're both on Glorio's leader skill, because Janemba is on Accelerated Battle. Janemba's on Transformation Boost, so he is on Goku's. But funnily enough, PAIKUHAN is only on Glorio's, because PAIKUHAN obviously not on Dragon Ball Seekers, not on Transformation Boost, but he is on Battle of Wits. So he's on Glorio's 170. Obviously he's not on Accelerated Battle, and then he's not on Dragon Ball Seeker, so he doesn't get the 200%, but he will get the 170. And of course, with Glorio being a super type, this guy buffs super type allies, with 3 orbs obtained, and then 1 rainbow orb gives him a high chance to dodge and seals the enemy super when he attacks. So these guys both could be very, very useful. It is interesting, of course, as we've already discussed in the past videos and stuff, that Glorio is super class. So that does actually help out, like PAIKUHAN will be supporting him if you run him on the team. And then, of course, Janemba won't be supporting Glorio, but I did a video yesterday using Glorio to lead a full extreme, like basically demonic power team, although we did have Janemba thrown in there. And that would be very, very interesting, because when we look at the extreme buffs and everything that we've gotten recently, like demonic power is a really, really good, really strong category. Obviously, there are super units on there. We've got Glorio and the Gohans and then like Piccolos and stuff like that. But this team can really, really benefit from Janemba's EZA. Not only, like I say, is he going to be on the 170 lead for Glorio because of accelerated battle, but then if we think about Lord Slug, who obviously still is a very viable lead for that kind of team build, obviously he's leading demonic power, all movie bosses anyway, so Janemba's going to be on his 170 team. And Janemba has the potential to be really, really good because he is a support unit with big bad bosses. I mean, he has guard, which is already obviously good, but he's buffing allies for key and support, which obviously this could go up, right? This could be 3 key, 50% or 40%. The biggest thing would be for them to change the restriction, but as I mentioned, like Janemba's is worse in this form, because if you transform him into Super Janemba, then he has the same thing as PAIKUHAN, right? It's only 3 type orbs and 1 rainbow orb. But the funny thing is, Janemba's one of those rare occasions, like AGL Trunks back in the day, where he gets worse when he transforms. He only guards for 1 turn, then he had like not a crazy amount of stats, creates rainbow orbs, and then all he gets from picking up the type orbs is he gives himself additional attack, and then he gets a high chance to dodge if you get a rainbow orb. So he's worse defensively and doesn't give support once you've transformed him. And it's not like he's a crazy hard hitter. Like if you were transforming him and he became worse defensively, was essentially like dodge or die, but he was then dropping like massive attack stats for the time. Obviously now, like he wouldn't be dropping the kind of numbers we see nowadays, but then that would be one thing. But yeah, he just like ended up being a unit that you don't transform. So obviously one of the things that we're going to talk about in the video, which I guess we can get onto now straight away here, is the what we'd like to see from their EZA. And so for Janemba, it's kind of a tricky one, because if they make this form, if they give this form a bunch of buffs, right? So extra stats start of turn, he has guard, maybe buff the support a little bit, and then maybe buff the damage reduction a little bit that he gets with the orbs. I don't think they will change the orb requirement, just because obviously they have the lower one once they transform, but or he does, and then PAIKUHAN just has the lower one in general. If they did change it, that would be great. But the thing is, by doing that, this guy becomes a really, really good support unit that you're going to want to run on a bunch of these extreme teams. So they really need to, when it comes to the transformed version, the actual Super Janemba, they really need to make his EZA something special that you would actually want to use. So like I said, the example that I could give is, obviously we don't want him to be dodge or die, but make it so that once you transform him, instead of giving any support, instead of being like super, super tanky, still make him like good defensively. Like the guard for 1 turn, I mean, could make it 3 turns. Dodge could be like 70%, I guess, with the orb obtained. But just make it so that he hits like an absolute truck. And then obviously the strategy for most events, obviously it could change depending on the scenario, and the setups and the rotations and stuff, but then the strategy would just be to keep him as a support unit for the majority of the event, and then when you get to the point where you know, like, if you go all out it's going to be the final turn and you're going to win, then you transform into Super Janemba and then just drop like some massive attack stats, maybe as built in like additional, if you get the orbs, maybe like just give him dodge and then give him additional with the rainbow orb or something, because this was the weird thing about this Janemba. He was the first Janemba to release that didn't just have guard, like he just has it for 1 turn and then he relies on a 50% chance to dodge. So very weird for like a Janemba card, but yeah, just give him like crazy damage output, and then yeah, we can just transform him in the final stage of the event. He can drop some big damage, we just win. and then we don't need to really worry about whether he's good defensively or not. And then when it comes to PAIKUHAN, I mean, PAIKUHAN's already got a very solid like base setup. Again, more stats start of turn, maybe buffing the support, and then dodge going from high chance to great chance. Sealing the enemy's attack with a rainbow key sphere obtained, I feel like is kind of pointless, because sealing is obviously not something you can do in a lot of events now anyway. I feel like what they could do is just give him sealing, like add sealing to part of his super attack effect, and then maybe with the rainbow orb he gets like guard or damage reduction or something, because obviously PAIKUHAN on release, I don't think he necessarily was, maybe against some of the hardest hitting supers, but obviously as he started to age out, it's because he very much became a dodge or die character, and he had a high chance to dodge, it was only 50%, so it's basically like a coin flip. So even if he gets an easy A and all they do is bump up all of these numbers a little bit, he's then still going to be in the situation where against any actual hard hitting bosses, it's a coin flip or even a 70% if they do up the chance that he is going to dodge or die to the boss's attacks, right? So giving him some sort of extra defensive tech I think would be really important. He greatly raises attack on his super. His unit super with a Goku or Vegeta Angel basically just gives him attacks effective against all types. I think that is the only difference, yeah. So obviously raising defense on for the turn on the super attack effect would obviously be a significant improvement as well. And then Janemba, I didn't really look at his super attack effects. In base, he raises defense for 1 turn. So obviously combined with the guard and him potentially giving, because obviously he gets the support for himself, the support and the damage reduction. Janemba on release was always relatively good tanking wise post super. So if he goes up to like greatly raise defense for 1 turn, maybe you could throw attack raise in there as well. But going by the format we were saying before, where you kind of keep him as like a tanky support, I could be fine with him just having raised defense, and then obviously once he transforms, he raises attack and defense for 1 turn. He could have like greatly raise attack and raise defense for 1 turn, or both obviously would be ideal. Or even like massively raise attack and greatly raise defense for 1 turn if we're going for this blueprint where he transforms and just becomes an insane damage dealer. I think that would be very, very good. So both of these guys have some serious potential. They are on the leader skills for the new units, or at least in part, right? Like PAIKUHAN's not on Goku's, but he is on Glorio's, and then Janemba is actually on both, although only the 170s for both of them. So they could certainly be interesting. Physical LR Janemba, of course, is one of the like best units in the game at this point. I say one of the best, like he's still in the top 10 LR tier list for me. So him getting this guy as the partner, really good link set, support as well. Both of them being run on like the Slug team or the Buhan team, because they're on uncontrollable power. Like something like that would be really, really good. Because it's one of those things, always speculate about who the easy A's could be, and a lot of the time it's very easy. Like if the New Year Dual Dokkan Fest was Goku versus Baby, then we'd be talking about like, oh, you know, which GT units are going to easy A. But with Daima, it's a little bit more difficult because we don't have any other Daima units. So all we really have to go by is some of the clues that we get sometimes when we get the Dokkan Fest releases and stuff like that, with like who's featured on the banner, who at least somewhat fits the theme of the celebration. And I mean, these guys both being like, you know, a previous New Year Dual Dokkan Fest, definitely makes sense for them being the possible candidate. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Who do you think is more likely, PAIKUHAN and Janemba, or Super Saiyan 2 to 3 Goku and Kid Buu? Who would you like it to be, regardless of which one you think is more likely? And if you don't think it's any of those 4, who do you think will be getting an easy A as part of the Diamond celebration? Do let me know down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.